bonus episode of Geeks Television, where we take a look at the collaboration between Sweetwater and Kaapse Brewery. So please come closer so we can introduce the brewers of Kaapse to you. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Chuma. Especially for English speaking people, it's a bit of a weird name, but you'll get used to it. I'm one of the founders of the Kaapse Brewery, and besides that, I don't do really much. So I think the main work is done by this guy here. So
I'm Etienne, I'm the head brewer of the Kaapse Brouwers. I try to brew the beers as much as I can, and we also have some other stuff that needs to be done. But keep busy.
So we're here in Rotterdam at the new Kaapse Brewery. Can you tell us a little bit about Kaapse? How long do you guys exist? How long are you located at this location?
Cool. Yeah, we started, Kaapse Brouwers, so it's named after an area in Rotterdam, Katendrecht, but the people in Rotterdam call it the Kaap, so we're basically brewers from the Kaap. And we started in 2014 together with the Phoenix Food Factory, which was like a big warehouse where you have all your hipster stuff, so you have a coffee roastery, bakery, vegetables, the whole 9 yards. That was pretty nice, but at some point we were kicked out of the building, which meant that we had to move the brewery because the new location of the Phoenix Food Factory was way too small. And then we took that opportunity to build a bigger brewery. So the production from the Phoenix Food Factory moved to another location, but we're still together. So in this location there's also a coffee roastery, cider maker. So since the beginning of 2020 we have our own production brewery in Rotterdam.
That's where we are at this moment.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Cool. So it's the beginning of 2020 when you realized this brewery over here with a new shiny floor.
Yes.
It is one hell of an eye catcher. Why is it yellow?
I needed to choose a color when they made it. I was like, color. I didn't think about that. Like 50 decisions I had to make every day, and then this one I didn't expect it. And then I thought about Karel is one of our beers, and the color of the label is yellow, and that's the beer is the biggest volume. So I thought, this brewery is partly paid by the volume of brew of Karel. So we honor Karel with
this yellow color. Really nice. Hey, can you tell us a little bit about the brewery? Take us along with you.
Yeah, sure. Over there is the lab, but I think we'll talk more about it later.
Yeah.
Over here we have the brew house. It's where we produce the wort on brew days. It's a British system, so it's also a British way of brewing, which means we don't have like European breweries usually have a mash mixer, which is temperature controlled, or you can heat. We just have a loader tun where we mash in to order. And the malts, the milled grains come in the top, and they are blended with the water, and then we mash in straight in the roller tun, top of the false bottom, you can see here. So that means we always do single step mash, because we don't have any opportunity to heat the mash after the mash in.
So we could do the option.
No, not in this kettle. So that's basically what we do. It's a very simple system. When you start a brewery, you have to make a lot of decisions, and you have to choose where you want to spend your money. And we thought we want to invest in the beginning, like good ingredients. So we chose a little bit more pricey malt, base malt. Golden Promise, we think is just a big game changer in the flavors. We use hops from Yakima Chief, straight out of the USA. So we invested money on that side. And on the back side, which is in the lab and on the canning line, because you can do the most beautiful beer of the world, but if you don't get it in your cans proper, then nobody will ever know that you made a little brewer. So this is very simple. In the middle is the lauder tun, the boiling kettle, and it's just directly heated by 3 electrical elements. So it's very quiet, but it's something I like. Nice. Yeah. We don't have a steam generator pumping, making noise all the way. And then the last vessel in the back, behind the control panel, is our whirlpool. That's one of the things we also wanted to do here. We wanted to have a separate whirlpool, so we are able to do several batches on one day. Because normally if we transfer to the whirlpool, we can start rolling on the second batch, which is called escape cooling, and then you save a lot of time in production. One of the things, the features we especially wanted is the tube cooler in between the boiling kettle and the whirlpool. It's that zigzag pipe work you can see. The outer are two pipes, and the inner pipe moves the wort. And on the outer pipe we have just tap water, cold water, which cools the wort, and that way we can that allows us to cool the wort after the boiling from 100 degrees Celsius, 212 Fahrenheit, I think, for the Americans, North American viewers. And then we can cool it down to 85 Celsius, which I don't know in Fahrenheit. But we don't have any, we don't get any isomerization, like bitterness from the hops. Yeah. So we can add more. Yeah, we can get more aroma out of the hop because we have a hot extraction, but we don't get bitterness out of the hop. Okay. Yeah. So that's sort of the thing we thought was most important to have for this brewery and make awesome beers.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. And then we have
the big boys.
The big boys.
Yeah. So the brew kit is designed to do a maximum of 1500 liters. These tanks are 3000 liters. So that means we need to brew at least twice to fill these up. When we brew something more heavy, like the Lenny over here, which is an Imperial IPA, then we have to mash 3 times, boil 3 times, or sometimes even do like 4 batches to fill it when it's a very high gravity beer. Wow. Yeah. And in the back we have our 2 small ones. These used to be our big tanks in the Phoenix brewery. In the old brewery we spent 2 very long days of 10-11 hours of brewing to fill one of these, and now I can do it in the morning.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And I fill it before lunch.
Yeah, how things can change. Yeah. Really cool.
First of all, Nick, thank you very much for your time and effort and for doing this. Cheers to that.
Thank you. Thanks for making me drink on a Saturday.
No problems there. So, my name is Ferry Wijnhoven. I'm the founder of the Beer Geeks Facebook group in the Netherlands, and we have this thing called Beer Geeks Television, where we go to breweries, do tours, do Q&A, and do some tasting. So that's exactly what we're now going to do, but online. So really nice to meet you. Really nice that this is possible. And maybe you can introduce yourself a little bit. Tell me what you do at the brewery and how you came to be working there.
So yeah, kind of a cool story. I moved to Atlanta in '96 for the Olympics. I was living in a small town, and I came from a big city, and I was like, I want to get back to the city. And the Olympics were coming, and at the time I was bartending. So I figured if I can't get a bartending job when the Olympics come to town, something's wrong. So I gave myself a little bit of time. So ultimately I got a bartending job, and while I was bartending, I got into homebrewing. And I really enjoyed it. So in '97, my New Year's resolution was to make money brewing beer. So I went around to all the local breweries, and this is back in '97. There weren't that many. But at one point in time, I actually had 5 jobs at 5 different microbreweries. And then ultimately, I ran into the sales guy that represented Sweetwater. And my girlfriend at the time was bartending, and he came in with a 6-pack, put it on the bar, said, hey, we just opened up a brewery. We'd love for you to try it. We'd love for you to sell it. We do bottles. We do kegs. And I asked him, I was like, well, do you guys need any help? Because I wasn't too impressed with where I was at with the other breweries. And he said, no, but you can come by and check it out. So sure enough, in between day jobs, I would go by and check it out, and ultimately ended up volunteering, and just got along with the guys really well. I had a really good time. And back then it was only 3 people. So it took me about 7 months of volunteering, but finally I started getting a paycheck, and it turned into 4 people. And that's pretty much it. That was back in, the beginning of '97, I guess April or I guess maybe August of '97.
So you were the 4th one there?
Yeah, I was the first employee. The first 3 were owners, so it's pretty cool. And, basically I was the runt. I did what nobody else wanted to do. I'd clean the outside of kegs. I'd keg. Everything was hands-on then. And ultimately, as Sweetwater grew, I grew up the ranks, and right now I'm head brewer. So,
wow.
Yeah.
That's not a bad, not a bad career.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. I mean, definitely to see it grow. Right now we're 13th in the country as far as breweries go, which is pretty big.
Wow.
Because there's a boatload of breweries out there now.
How many breweries does the U.S. have at this moment?
Oh man, I'd say we're over 5,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Sweetwater is number 13.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Pretty neat.
That's a lot. So you're the head brewer now since the beginning then, or?
No, I probably got that title maybe about 15 years ago.
Okay.
So it took me a while to get up to that. Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about the history of Sweetwater then?
So Sweetwater started, the 3 guys that were here before, the 3 owners, they all came from Boulder, Colorado. They all went to school at University of Boulder. And kind of much like myself, they found a joy for making beer. So they worked at different brew pubs around Colorado. And then our president of the company, he came out to Atlanta right around the Olympics time too, and realized there weren't that many breweries out here. I mean, I'm not sure if you're familiar, but Colorado, Boulder, Denver, it's saturated with breweries. I mean, they're everywhere. So, he was just like, man, let's come out to Atlanta, open up a brewery. Maybe we can do something. So he recruited his 2 friends. They came out and they opened it up. And we started in '97. And like I said, it pretty much started as word of mouth. Just we did tours. We had people come out, and then they tell a friend, and they tell a friend, and they tell a friend. And we got bigger and bigger and bigger. And it got to the point where we could actually move into the city. We were probably about 15 miles on the outskirts of the city for a bit. So we wanted to come closer into town, which Atlanta's a big college town. There's several colleges and universities around here. So we didn't want them to travel. We wanted to be more local. And so that's where we are right now. The one thing about Sweetwater is those guys coming from the West Coast, I say, I don't know if it's official or not, but I'd like to say that Sweetwater brought the hop to Atlanta. There were 2 other breweries that were going on at the time, and both of them had either a brown ale or a dark ale, more malt forward, I'd like to say that Sweetwater introduced the dry hop to Atlanta. So
nice, that's a nice statement.
Yeah. Now we dry hop everything. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. And where does the name Sweetwater then come from?
So Sweetwater actually comes from Sweetwater Creek Park. The president of our company, once again, he when there was some downtime where our old brewery was, which is kind of on the west side of Atlanta, he went out there and did some paddling, did some kayaking. And I guess it just hit him. He's like, oh, Sweetwater. It's kind of close to where we are, and it's a great name. So
cool. And that's why all the logo with the fish and the fish names and
Exactly. Everybody that works here is very outdoor oriented, and he in particular is a huge trout fisherman. So, I mean, there's nothing he loves better than getting wet and fly fishing.
With a great beer in hand.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I can imagine. Really nice. Hey, and you're talking about you put hops on the maps over there. Can you maybe?
That's what I say. I don't know if it's official, but that's what I say.
Yeah, I believe you.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about the range of beers that Sweetwater makes then? Is it only hop forward beers, or what do you guys do?
Well, we do a lot of seasonals, and some of those are not necessarily hop forward. But 420, for instance, which is our flagship beer, it's a pale ale, but it's very hoppy. It's a decent hop. I mean, the hops are definitely there, but it's not necessarily an IPA. It's probably on the cusp of being an IPA. And then we also do an IPA. Recently, past year or two, we've come out with a strain series, which we add terpenes to our beers. So we have a beer called a G13, which is a type of marijuana strain. And basically you get the flavors and aromas. You don't get the THC. You just get the flavors and aromas from G13, that particular strain. And it's in a really dank IPA. It's pretty much my go-to beer right now. Actually, I'm wearing the shirt. This is our strain series logo, as opposed to the troutfish. This one looks like the strain. But as you probably know, marijuana and hops are closely related. So you got so many hop varieties, and you got so many marijuana varieties, and they're all just so bountiful and floral and aromatic. Why not try and mix the two? So that's what we tried to get into. And we actually have a bunch of them. We have Trainwreck, which is a double IPA with a Trainwreck marijuana strain. We have a Mango Kush, which is another marijuana strain, but it's got mango in it. So it's a wheat ale with mango. And then basically that one's not very hoppy at all, but it's more about the terpenes from the marijuana strain.
Wow, nice. That's something we don't see here in the Netherlands that much, the use of the marijuana in beer.
That's kind of ironic, because I was just in Amsterdam, and it was the complete opposite.
But not in the beer, right?
Yeah. There's one after the other, I guess.
Hey, I heard that the collaboration you did with Kaapse, that it was the first collaboration ever. Is that correct?
I don't know about that, but we don't do many at all. We've done less than a handful, I'll tell you that. It's definitely the first one overseas.
Oh, yeah, indeed.
And then in all honesty,
why is that? Because in the whole craft beer scene, collaborations are quite common and quite a lot being done. And is that a particular choice of yours that you say we don't want to collaborate too much, or you just don't have time, or can you elaborate on that?
Personally, it's not my choice at all. But I do think timing is a big issue with that. We're pretty busy, and I think it's we don't want to do it with every Tom, Dick, and Harry. We want to make sure that there's some personality and some friendship behind it. So, like I said, right now I can only think of this is possibly the third one out of 22 years. So we really don't do it much.
No, I know breweries who do like 3 a month.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them around here too, and I don't know exactly what they get out of it. I don't think about it too much.
Maybe the sharing of knowledge, maybe.
Right. I mean, I definitely love it. I definitely love hanging out with brewers and talking to brewers. I'm all about that, and definitely learning. I learned a lot from these guys.
Yeah, from Kaapse.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that? How this collaboration came to be?
Well, actually, it came from our sales guy, sales director, who takes care of Europe for us, and I guess it went down the chain of command and fell into my lap, which I was thrilled for. And we had a video conference with them. They seemed like great guys, and everything just went really smooth. There wasn't any headache about it at all. So.
Cool. No, those are really cool guys. Definitely fun to hang around with and fun to make a beer with, I can imagine.
Yeah.
But how do you make a collaboration in these Corona times?
Well, a lot of email. So I
guess that's always the case with a collaboration, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the initial conversation was hey, what style do we want to do? And we came up with the idea. You guys are in Europe and we're in America. Hazy IPAs are all over the place in America. I mean, it's almost annoyingly crazy. I just don't get it. I mean, they're great beers, but the interesting thing about that is they're several years old, and nobody knew if it was going to be a fad or if it was going to stick on. Or is it going to be a one and done, or are we going to go by it? And now there's breweries that's all they do is hazy IPAs.
Yeah.
And they do wealthy doing it. I mean, it's awesome. So we came up with the idea of the hazy IPA, and then I was thinking about the Europe side of things. There's this Belgian yeast that I like, which is Ardeen's. And I thought about doing that because personally I'd never heard of a hazy Belgian IPA. I'm sure they're out there, but I haven't heard of it.
Yeah.
So
no, me neither, actually.
Yeah.
I just read the label on this. I saw hazy Belgian IPA.
Yeah.
I know the Belgian IPA style. I know the hazy IPA. Also, the hazy IPA beer styles going crazy at the moment in the Netherlands.
Yeah, they are.
You see them everywhere.
Yeah.
You see them everywhere. Every brewery is making them. like non-stop.
People love
and they
it.
sell, so
Yeah.
they sell. So I can imagine if they keep on selling, the breweries are gonna keep making them.
Yeah.
So I can imagine. But this is a hazy Belgian IPA, and that's because of the yeast strain you use.
Yeah, the Ardines.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is that thing's a fighter. It's a big yeast. It'll get you where you want to be.
Yeah, it's a bit. I'm tasting the beer right now. It's a bit of a dry beer.
It is dry.
Yeah, exactly. Is this saison yeast that's being used, or?
No, it's not a saison yeast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's what the first thing that came into my head.
Really?
It's such a dry beer.
You get that peppery too. Like I get that black pepper dry finish, you know?
Yeah, exactly. That's why my thoughts went to saison yeast. But I'm tasting it now. It's a really nice beer. It's a bit fruity. It has a little bit of stone fruit in there.
Yeah.
And a little bit of peppery, dry, really thirst quenching. Yeah, I really enjoy this one. But back to the collaboration. It's all email back and forth, discussing beer styles, or tell us a little bit about that.
And it was incredibly peaceful. It was like, hey, how about these hops? Oh, I like those hops, but how about these hops? You know? And we were trying to do hops that like personally, we were trying to do hops that represent both breweries. You know? I threw out Columbus because Columbus is like the main hop that we have in our G13, and that was a beer that had been doing well when we first started talking about this. And then I believe they came back with Centennial and Amarillo, and those are like two of my favorite hops. So I was like, win-win, let's go, you know. And then we threw Citra in there, which I think the hops work with the yeast very well because, like you said, I get that black peppery, a little bit of bubblegummy up front, but then I get like a little lemon zest. I get like the citrus, but it's like a little zest, you know. It's like a little kick, which I think you got nothing to blame but the hops on that, and I like it. So it's cool.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
And you brewed it at your place, and Kaapse brewed it at their brewery, I guess?
Yeah, and the cool thing was, two cool things. So we did a test drive on our pilot system here, and they were under construction. They were building a whole new brew house. So, you know,
Indeed.
And of course, you know, as it always goes, they had delays, which, you know, obviously not their fault. It's just the way of the world. But then they got it up and running. So I was just like, hey, well, let's brew it again over here, and you guys brew it over there, and we'll brew it on the exact same day. So we were able to do that, and that was kind of neat. You know, I'm taking pictures as I'm like, this is where I'm at, where are you at, you know, and it was exciting, you know. I think our emails were like calling it like our baby, and it was like, hey, happy birthday, you know. So it's like, how's the kid coming along? Yeah.
So, but it's kind of cool. You brewed it on the same day. Sending pictures back and forth. So,
definitely.
So it's basically like you're there together, but an ocean apart.
I think exactly. That's a good way to put it. And I think our beer came out like a week before theirs, but we have IPA Day. I don't know if it's national or international. It's first Thursday.
I think it's international. Yeah.
First Thursday of every August. So we released this that day, and it was a big hit. People were loving it.
Yeah, I can imagine. I don't think it's released here in the Netherlands yet. I think this coming Thursday it will be released here.
Okay.
So I'm one of the first to try it.
Nice.
Besides the brewers, of course. I really like it. It's a really nice thirst quencher, and it's 7% alcohol.
Hold it up.
Which I would not have guessed.
Hold it up. I want to see if it's the same haze. Oh yeah, looks identical.
Yeah.
Nice.
It really, yours has a little bit more haze, I guess. It's a little bit more cloudy, I think. But still, it has a really nice cloudiness and really nice color.
Yeah, yours has a really nice orange color.
Yeah, exactly.
Which goes with the citrus.
Beautiful beer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful beer. Came out in cans, so Kaapse Brewery now has completely gone to cans, from bottles to cans.
Yeah.
They now have their own canning line, which is kind of unique in the Netherlands. Not many breweries have their own canning line.
Oh, good.
So that's really cool. So it's one of their first beers in cans. So yeah, it's a win-win, I guess. Really good beer with a nice collaboration and in cans. So that's really nice.
Good.
I wanted to ask some little bit more questions before we say goodbye. I wanted to ask you, as a head brewer, what is actually the biggest mistake you made in the brewery? Always a fun question for me, I guess.
All right, the biggest one that I will never live down, which it happened in the brewery, but it's not really brewing oriented, and it's embarrassing. But in our hop cooler, in our hop cooler, we have a sprinkler system, like a fire alarm sprinkler system.
Yeah.
And we also have these super sacks. They hold 2,000 pounds of malt, and you put it like on this little rack, and then the malt will drop into the hopper and then shoot it up to the mill. So I was loading the super sack, got it in there, and then I backed out and I didn't lower the forklift down, and I drove and I popped off that sprinkler system. Next thing I know, I'm just getting showered with crap. It is just like rusty, nasty, cold water. I mean, just smelly. It was just awful, and it was just nonstop, and I had no clue how to turn it off. So I'm just running around, just drenched, just trying to figure out what I need to do. Do I call the fire department? What is going on? And it was just, it was horrible. It was embarrassing. It was cold. It was wet. And it probably took me 2 days to clean up that mess.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, not fun. And I think it happened at like 5 in the morning. So I was just like, come on.
So your day had to start.
Yeah.
That's a crappy day, a crappy way to start your day.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, nice. But that's why I asked. These stories are always the greatest.
Oh man, that one's embarrassing. Luckily though, we've been doing well with the beer. We haven't had too many issues with bad beers, which is good.
No, that's good. That's why you're number 13 of the country, probably.
Right.
You're now at this moment sitting in the laboratory of your brewery, right?
I am. Yeah, the bar's a little hectic right now. Otherwise, I'd be right at the bar.
Right after this conversation, you can head to the bar.
Yeah.
So, but you check every batch of beer yourself in your own laboratory, or?
We do. We check it all along the way. We check from the knockout of the brew house. We collect a sample. Once it's in the fermenter, we collect a sample. Towards the end of fermentation, we collect a sample. Once it goes through the centrifuge, we collect a sample, and we don't release anything until everything passes that sample. Once we release it to package, we will sit on the package for several days, and then we will we'll have to put that up for testing. Once that gets released, then it can go out the door and be shipped. So we're keeping an eye on it all along the way.
Wow, nice. That's an example of how breweries should do it,
right.
In my opinion. Nice. I want to ask you one final question, and then I guess we can round up. I always have one final question during a tasting and during Q&A.
I'm getting scared.
Yes, you should be. No, my question is, I think, food pairing with beer, that's a common thing, right?
Yeah.
I always like to do music pairing.
Oh, come on.
Music pairing with beer, I really like music, all different kinds of music. I like beer and I like to combine the two.
Nice.
So if I have to ask you your favorite music pairing, which song from which band would you pair with which of your own beer and why?
Oh man, there's probably so many.
Yeah, of course, I can take multiple answers, that's fine.
Man, well, right when you said what was your favorite song, for some reason, I got so many, but for some reason, a quick one by The Who popped into my head. Ironically, it's called A Quick One, but it's pretty long, and it changes up a bunch. So actually, a quick one would go pretty good with this, because you just every sip, I feel like I get a different flavor and be like that, and I could probably drink a beer during that entire song. But then also, I like bluegrass a lot. There's a band called Railroad Earth. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they're just really uppity, and it's bluegrass, but it's not Appalachian bluegrass, so it's a little more, I hate to say pop, but it's just a little more smoother, I guess. And I could probably drink just like our IPA, like it's just called IPA. And we can them in 16-ounce tall boys. So sitting in a rocking chair with one of those, listening to some Railroad Earth would be really nice too.
Yeah, nice. Those are some great music pairings.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. I'm gonna look it up right after this, and I'm gonna enjoy that one. So I would like to thank you very much for this conversation we had and discussing the beer. It's a really
that can looks great.
Yeah, I have here the can of Kaapse Swaapse. So it's a really cool name and it's a really awesome beer. I'm really enjoying this.
I'm glad you like it. I hope the Netherlands are proud of it. I mean, I really do.
Definitely. How can I not? It's a great beer. I'm really enjoying this. So thank you so much for your time and for this conversation. I would like to say cheers to this.
Yeah, perfect timing. I need another beer.
Exactly. Thank you.
So here's our restaurant. We just opened this up 2 years ago. It's struggling due to Corona, but we're doing pretty well. Everybody's social distancing. As you see, there's a patio out there. To the left of the patio, we have a stage, which every Wednesday we have live bands, and sometimes on the weekends we'll have live bands. We also have a restaurant right there, open kitchen. So nothing, no major food, but just like hand food for the bar. It's good stuff. So once you come in from the restaurant into the brewery, you're going to see the pilot system. Turn around. So the pilot system is basically for our R&D, research and development. If we come out with like a new brand, we'll run it on here a couple times and hopefully perfect it before we put it on the big guy. Like I said earlier, we have a 400-barrel brew house, so it's better to play with it before you commit to something that big. And in all honesty, this is where our collaboration was brewed. I did. Thanks for getting that on video. So this is where the collaboration was brewed, and we actually brewed it twice. So, and it's doing really well. It's on the bar right now. It's in my hand right now. So from there, what was that? I haven't really spoken to too many people about it, but the one thing I do get to see is the beers that are getting loaded for the bar. And I'm seeing empty kegs all the time and new kegs coming in, which is good. So, I think we're probably close to running out of this thing, which the first time we brewed it, we definitely ran out real quick. It was good. All right, so we'll walk back here. This is our dank tank. Our dank tank, back in the day, that was our first one-off brew. So we do something high gravity, but it's a brewer's choice type thing. So basically, brew something you want, and we'll put it in there. Ironically, it's a 50-barrel fermenter, and we have a 400-barrel brew house, so we only brewed one dank tank in there. After that, they went to our 400-barrel. They went to our 400-barrel fermenters, which are these guys. We have 5 of them. And basically, those are for like our one-offs, mainly our tanks, which we put out like 2-3 times a year. And our seasonals, which right now you can see right here, we have a seasonal coming out, which is you can see MIP, which is a Mosaic IPA. Yeah. So these are our 400s. These are where our seasonals and our tanks are. The one-off beer. You can see the Mosaic IPA right there. These are our fermenters. They're 1,000-barrel fermenters. Across the hall, we actually have 1,500-barrel fermenters. But like I said, we have a 400-barrel brew house. We actually only brew 330 barrels at a time. So we'll do 3 batches into the 1,000s, and we'll do 4 batches into the 1,500s. As you can see, our IPAs and G13 typically live in the big guys. Yeah, this is only what you see right here is only 30%. The other 70% sticks through the roof. So you can see it from our highway. Right here is our yeast prompt. We have 4 yeast prompts. So basically we'll harvest yeast at the beginning of the week, and then the 4 yeast prompts will suffice what we need throughout the week. And then on Friday we'll clean, and then Sunday start it up again. We start up brewing 11 o'clock Sunday night, and we finish brewing 11 o'clock Friday. So it's almost 24/7. But yeah, we get the weekend off a little bit. Yeah. So now we're going to the brew house. This is underneath the brew house. You able to go upstairs?
Hold on, let me get a shot of underneath the brew house.
So yeah, we are underneath the brew house right now.
What's this vessel?
This is the kettle. They actually filmed a movie in here. Yeah, I forget what it was, but it was some sort of like Star Trek type thing. Like it wasn't a brewery at all. They were just using it for all the pipe work.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, how cool. Well, really sci-fi.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
All right, we're gonna go up the stairs. All right, so this is our wet mill. We're like one of 7 in the country that have one. You get a better extraction rate out of it. You get less dust, which helps us out. This is our mash. It moistens the malt before it hits the mill, actually. So the way I picture it, it's like edamame. It squeezes the starches out instead of like cracking the husk. And for lautering, you want that husk. So it helps us out. It works as a filtration. So, this is our lauter. Cool thing is about the lauter, we're going to bring in 18,000 pounds of dry malt. So it's roughly like 60,000 pounds of wet malt. And this thing will empty it in like 10 minutes. So it's really quick. Then from there we have our kettle, which is stand on the curb and get in. So right there is our stromboli. So it's heated. It's going to take the wort and pump it up through it, hit the china hat, and cascade down, and it gives it a rolling boil nonstop. And then we have our whirlpool, which is the size of a couple of New York apartments. And then these are the tops of the tanks. We can get DC right through the window. Yeah. Yeah, and you can't really see, but like right behind us is the highway, which is like the major highway. It's actually 2 highways that join together that run right through the middle of Atlanta. So if you come through Atlanta, it's pretty tough to see or not see our tanks. Yeah, which is cool. And the other cool thing too is you'll see the steam when we're boiling. So like when I'm driving into work, I'm like, why aren't we boiling? What's going on? Yeah, I'm like, come on, what are we messing up on? Something's wrong. Yeah, get to work. Right now we have 9. So basically, yeah, we have 3 shifts. We have AM and then a mid shift and then an overnight. And we have 2 people on each shift, and that's 1 brewer, 1 cellar person. And I don't know if you're gonna go back to my biggest mistake. Mary Jane hit that sprinkler up there. That's the sprinkler I hit. I doused this whole place.
Oh my gosh.
So,
Feels so good.
what we have right here, these are our these are some of our hops. These are the hops that we use daily. We have another cooler that has twice as many, and then we restock. On this side, we have our malt. We'll throw our bag malt into that hopper, super sacks into that guy. And then these guys right here are usually taller. They're our hop cannons. So you can see the hops are ready to go for Monday. We're going to shoot them into the cannons. One's kettle, one's whirlpool. And once we put it in there, we talk to the computer, say, hey, we're ready to go. And then when the timing's right, it's going to shoot it in there by air. And then once we go to the whirlpool, it'll shoot the whirlpool hops in. We do have several kettle editions, so we're constantly reloading the kettle guy. All right, I'm going to take you to do a real quick one of our packaging. So these right here are our bright tanks. Basically, they're going to sit in here until the lab passes it, and then we're going to take it over to the, either get bottle, canned, or kegged, which is right this way. So this thing right here is actually pretty important, especially for Europe. This is our conditioning. We bottle and can condition everything. So as you can see, we'll add a little bit of sugar and a little bit of yeast to each individual bottle and can. And basically what that's going to do is the yeast is going to eat the sugar and eat up the oxygen. So it's going to prolong the life of our beer. So as it takes quite a while to get over to Europe, hopefully the beer still stays flavorful and good for everything. Yep, all of our beer goes through there. This right here is our bottle and canning line. Bottle line is to the right, canning line is to the left. These things pump it out. The cans will do 600 cans a minute. Bottle line does a little bit less just due to the labels. The labels take up a little bit more time. Well, I think just as the world turned, as trends went, and as people had common sense, cans are lighter, more inexpensive, easier to transport, and biologically better, ecologically better. I don't know. It seems like we're still doing 60% cans, 40% bottles. I mean, there's still a bottle crowd out there. This right here is an accumulation table. We actually have two of them. So like if the labeler screws up or if there's some malfunction down the line, we don't have to stop the filler. So this will actually hold like a pallet. It'll buy us like 20 minutes to fix whatever the issue is.
You want to show them the lab?
Yeah. So this right here is the lab. We have two lab techs in here that do quality control. They make sure everything's working. Yeah. We're actually, I mean, as we spoke on it before, we're really friendly with other breweries. And, if anybody needs a little help, we're willing to help them out. Yeah, I definitely love the friendliness, just the camaraderie. What we're coming up on now is the keg line. So you can see it right here. We actually have two keg lines. This will pump out 200 kegs an hour. So basically the keg comes in, hits this stainless guy right here, which is like a car wash, and then goes through, the inside gets purged out, rinsed out, cleaned out, sanitized, and then filled. And like I said, we can do 200 an hour. Yeah, two guys run this thing. So, I mean, they're really working it.
Okay guys, let's talk about the collaboration you did with Sweetwater. This is it, it's called Kaapse Swaapse, and it's a hazy Belgian IPA. So, let's pour it in.
Yes.
And try it. It has a really beautiful golden color. Let's see if it's a bit hazy or not. Yes, there we go. Can you tell me a little bit about this collaboration? How did you guys end up together? Sweetwater from the USA, Kaapse from Rotterdam, the Netherlands. How did you guys collab?
It's mainly, it started with our...
Cheers, guys.
Yeah, let's start with that.
Cheers.
It started with Van Bieren, who are, they distribute Kaapse beers in the Netherlands, but are the sole distributor of Sweetwater in the Netherlands.
In the Netherlands, yeah.
And I was just asking, I just said, hey, Jeroen, what do you think? Let's do a collab together with Sweetwater. He said, oh, that'd be a nice idea, I don't know. And because they never do collab, actually. They don't.
No, that's what I understood.
Yeah,
I understood it's their third collaboration or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Jeroen was also like, okay, I'll ask, but I don't think it's going to happen. And then, but then he said yes, yeah, it started, it started going on. And
I can imagine you're quite honored to have a collaboration with Sweetwater.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and then I think, and then at some point we had to do a sort of a Zoom kind of Skype meeting, I think.
Yeah.
Which went awful.
Yeah.
It was far before COVID, before everybody was used to doing Skype meetings.
Ah, okay.
So it was an
yeah.
awful connection, and it was really.
Yeah, the
really
time
tough.
difference, of course. Yep.
Yeah, and also we did it. I think it was somewhere in October or so, and we were already busy with preparing the move from the old place. And we did it in the Phoenix, which is also a very loud place, and we didn't really have a good place to without a lot of noise. So it was a bit of a bumpy meeting, but it was.
But it was a start.
Yeah,
it was a start.
and I think we landed on the idea of this beer in that meeting straight away.
Oh, yeah? And
Yeah.
who came up with it? Because it's a hazy Belgian IPA, a beer style which is not that common.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'd never seen one before.
No,
It's, I think, to be honest, it's the idea of Nick. He came up with it.
from Sweetwater.
From Sweetwater. We just explained like our new brewery we're building. We designed it to make hoppy beers. That's sort of the thing we really like to brew and things we think we're good at, or at least we try to be good at. And then he said, well, yeah, but we have to do something originally. What about the idea of doing a hazy IPA with a Belgian yeast strain? And I thought, oh, that's quite interesting. Because you have all the spicy notes from the yeast, and then with the fruity notes of the hop, that could actually work.
Yeah, and we did one before, which was the Jane, the New England Saison.
Yeah,
So it was with the Belle Saison yeast and also the sort of the New England technique.
Yeah.
So that's also why we thought, well, it might actually work, because the
Yeah.
Jane was quite nice.
yeah,
Yeah.
It degraded pretty quickly. I don't know. It's the Saison yeast and hops that really like each other.
Yeah.
So,
But you were already maybe used to the idea a little bit of hazy, Belgian.
And I think also it's like if we talked about this 4 years ago, we probably would say, well, Belgium, no,
Yeah.
we want to make hoppy beers, and we're as Dutch people very accustomed to drinking Belgian beers, and it's a bit
Yes.
of old school.
Yes.
And now we're in the brewing for 5 years, and like, okay, maybe sometimes it's nice to go
Get a
back to the
Belgian
roots.
touch.
And so we already brewed the triple last year, and this is sort of a nice. A nice mashup of the things that are very new and
traditional.
old traditional yeast strain.
Cool. And what hops are we talking about in this beer?
Oh yeah, I already was afraid you would ask.
Of course.
Equinox?
No, I think we chose to go for fruity and piney hops, so we definitely used some Columbus and Chinook for the pininess, and we used some Mosaic and Citra. Probably some Cascade, but it's a mass load of hops. It's also one of the things we've been talking about doing for quite some while, but we never came around to, was doing an hop. There's a name for it, I can't remember. But adding all the hops at the end of the boil, so no bitter hops,
No
but
bitter
just
hops.
a lot of hops in the last 15 minutes.
Flame out.
Yeah, but there's a name for using all the hops in the end, which I can't remember now. But it's a thing we wanted to try for quite some while, and Nick suggested it. I was like, yeah, let's do it. But I don't have any experience with it, so I trusted him with. We sort of selected the kind of hops we wanted together.
Yeah.
And he did a proposal. I think I did a proposal for the malt base, and he did a proposal for the hop scheme, and so we hashed it out and we sort of made a recipe out of it.
And it has a Belgian yeast strain, right?
Yeah.
It's not a Saison yeast strain?
No, it's the I think 35, 37, the Belgian Ardennes. I think supposedly it's the original strain from La Chouffe.
Okay. From the Ardennes.
Yeah.
But yeah, with those things, it's maybe a strain from 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's evolved, but it has some characteristics of the Chouffe yeast. It's very dry, fruity,
Yeah,
spicy.
what I get from this beer is really a dry finish.
Yeah.
That's why I immediately thought about Saison-yeast. It's also a little bit of a peppery taste in there, and especially in the end you get a little bit of pepper in there. It's a dry finish, so definitely nice Belgian yeast strain, nice Belgian touch, but completely filled with hops. So the pine you were mentioning, it's in here, a little grassy.
And then because the brewery was not there yet, Etienne, the first brew, you did also when they did it, but then on this.
I did a homebrew, my old homebrew.
Oh, really?
I think it's also one of the last homebrews I did last year. But I really wanted to work with the recipe and try it because there were so much new techniques and things I never tried before. So, and we didn't have a brewery by the time we decided on the recipe. So I made a small batch at home, bottled a little bit, so we tasted it.
Yeah.
And on basis of that and their experience, one of the things we noticed in the first in the edition of the recipe, it cleared out really quickly. There was a lot of after a week, it just all settles down. It was just a clear beer, and of course, we wanted to create something hazy. So we discussed how we're going to do this. What are possibilities to make sure the haze stays longer. And we found a solution without using any adjuncts or stuff, but just with tweaking the recipe.
Nice.
And it's
I saw their
at
version.
least it's hazy for a week.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it's quicker than the last one.
Their version I saw a picture is a bit hazier.
Yeah, we compared it on camera. Nick
Oh,
and
yeah?
I. Yes.
Oh.
And theirs is a little bit more hazy, but I have to be honest, I like the color of this version a little bit better. It's more of a bright yellow color, but theirs is a little bit more hazy.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to see those two next to each other. Because I also asked Nick, how do you do a collaboration in this Corona times? But mainly via email, I understood, and discussing back and forth. And your beer was brewed over here, and the Sweetwater beer of this collaboration is brewed at their place, right?
Yeah. And we brewed on the same day.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Yeah. So on the same date, so there was a time difference, of course, but we wanted to brew at the same time, so we could have it finished around about the same time as well.
Although
Yeah.
finished it in 3 weeks.
Yeah. Well, the beer was finished, but then we had some problems with canning. Canning quicker. So So, but
it's cool that you brew on the same day.
Yeah.
At least that has a collaboration feel during the brew itself.
And it was also really interesting to compare notes. Their brew, they went superb. I think they were finished really quickly. Our brew, they went a little bit less superb. We had some technical problems with the heating, so I was actually planning on doing both brews in one day, but I had to move one to the next day. So we had 1 day delay in fermentation, but besides that, the fermentation went quite similar, and So we also I'm gonna dry up it now. How are you guys? Yeah, we're also dry up it now.
Cool. They were very communicative.
Yeah.
Like for a collaboration.
Yeah.
Like quite often it's just you talk about it and afterwards you just drink it.
Yeah.
But they were really also keen on talking about, hey, this is going like this. Also very technical.
Yeah.
But that was they really cared for the collaboration and for the beer.
Yeah, that's really
I
cool.
really enjoyed
That's maybe the advantage of doing a collaboration with a partner which has not collaborated that much.
Yeah.
They are really keen on that collaborative part.
Yeah. They don't do the celebrity brews anymore.
And is it maybe an idea to get their beer over here and your beer over there, so you can compare the two next to each other?
But theirs is they don't bottle it.
It's only for the tap room.
Yeah. Because they brewed in the brew pub.
Yeah. Okay.
So we I think probably we will have to brew another batch. And then
Please do.
Yeah, we probably will. And then we might send it over to
Because
the
that's
States.
cool, right? To have those two beers next to each other and really compare
Yeah.
flavors.
Well, and we have to fly over once we can.
Yeah. once the whole Corona issue is over.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you like the outcome of the beer? Is it what you had in mind?
Yeah, I think it's also a bit better than the homebrew I made. There were some things in the homebrew I like, okay, I wasn't really happy about, or at least I thought, I think we can do it better. So I'm really happy with how drinkable it is. I like the interaction of the yeast, the spicy yeast notes, the peppery notes with the hops, the fruitiness and the pine. So yeah, I think it's a really enjoyable beer.
Yeah.
And,
7% in alcohol.
yeah.
I wouldn't have guessed.
No, it's a bit too easy to drink.
It's really easy drinkable, and with 7%, it's quite dangerous, I would say. But yeah, that's really nice. I finished one and I immediately want to grab another one. It's really that drinkable.
Yeah, and I think it's one of the first beers I drank here when I came back from a holiday.
Right.
And I think I had 3 in a row.
Yeah.
Oh, another one.
Yeah, exactly. You finish one and you're like, let's go again. It's really nice. Yeah, really, congrats on the collaboration. I think it came out really nice. I'm really curious about the Sweetwater parts. I'm hoping they will brew it again once the Corona issue is over. I will join you on the plane towards Sweetwater.